At the break of dawn, in the middle of the Arizona desert, a crowd of strangers meet for one purpose.
You guys coming out here to help me out, I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
To help another stranger, a father desperately searching for his 24-year-old son, Daniel Robinson.
Since he was a child, he liked to challenge everything.
He was born with a challenge.
And I wanted to introduce him to prosthetics because he's born one hand. We quickly learned that that's something that Daniel didn't want. He let nothing stop him. He decided to be a geologist once he got into freshman year in college. He excelled that. He graduated with honors.
Daniel's first job is checking the viability of water wells in the Arizona desert.
He loved this area, of course, because of the rock formation. You're a geologist, this is the best place to be.
But the terrain became a hellscape for his dad when Daniel went missing back in June from his job site. And what number search is this?
This is search number 14.
Navigating the dangers in the desert, the Army veteran knows firsthand time is of the essence.
When I called the Buckeye Police Department, they told me that I had to wait an extra 3 hours because they had a 12-hour, report time when you can say a person is missing. Then I called them back and put in a missing person report. I got very worried. That's when I got very worried. I asked the Buckeye Police Department to go out and search that area. The officer told me that they were going to send a vehicle out there, a helicopter out to search for him. I was relieved. And then he called back an hour later and said, no, it was a no-go. I'm his dad, and he's my son. I've lost all sense of reality. At that moment, I said, you know what? They're not going to look for my son. I'm going to have to do it myself.
Before he arrived, police did decide to search on foot and with helicopters. This is the last place your son was seen?
The last place.
What do you think happened, David?
I think a lot happened here. I'm very suspicious.
But he doesn't know what. A month in, there's a break in the case, and police call Robinson.
I got afraid, actually, that it's going to be some bad news. He said, no, we just found his vehicle.
Some ranchers found it, and then at that point, we conducted our investigation and additional searches.
What was the condition of the car? If it had rolled over, it sounds like it was pretty bad.
Yeah, the car was on its side. The sunroof was kicked out at that point, so he might have exited through the sunroof.
His wrecked car in a ravine, both airbags deployed, Daniel's cell phone, clothes he was wearing that day, and a case of water all found at the crash site. But not Daniel. People don't just disappear into thin air.
True.
Does that sort of feel like what's happened to here?
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very challenging case.
No matter how much the family asks for this to be a criminal investigation, can you make that happen?
We can't make up evidence. Absolutely suspicious circumstances related to the case.
Frustrated and heartbroken, Robinson hired a private investigator. Where are we going?
Down here is where the vehicle was recovered from.
Is that the glass from the car?
Yes.
When you looked at this accident, what are the discrepancies that you noticed right away?
I believe it was in more than one collision.
What does the data from the black box of the car tell you?
That there was 11 additional miles on the vehicle since the airbags came out.
What does that tell you?
That tells me it was crashed somewhere else.
Does that sound suspicious? What explains that?
Well, we had the national expert that came in and provided us his findings, and then they end up speaking to an expert at Jeep, and the expert says, yes, sometimes that happens, and it's not unusual.
But the data also shows someone tried to start the car 46 times after the crash.
That's something we can't explain.
It begs the question, again, the family is saying it's criminal. It's got to be a reason danger. Do something.
Right. No, I agree. But we need information. We need evidence.
He's got a lot of theories. His words, I think, were, I don't think they cared. What do you say to that?
Can be furthest from the truth.
Losing hope, Robinson began pleading for media coverage.
It literally took 3 months.
While Robinson searched for his son, the country became riveted by media coverage of another missing persons case, the case of Gabby Petito.
In my situation, people think I love our children less or something, or they're less important.
In 2020, more than 543,000 missing persons records were filed. More than 480,000 were cleared. And 40% of the missing are people of color.
There are a lot of Gabby Petitos and Natalie Holloways in the Black and brown community.
That's why former police officer Derica Wilson co-founded Black and Missing Inc. and says too often their cases go untold. Eventually, local stations did stories and citizens began helping search. Did you know Daniel?
No, I just wanted to help.
You're just helping out a stranger on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Why?
You know what? I can't imagine what that man's going through.
As the search for Daniel goes into its 5th month, another family is in the midst of a terrible mystery for a 5th year. The family of Nikki and Ariana Fitz.
Ariana is very energetic, very happy.
2-year-old Ariana went missing under the most suspicious of circumstances in the San Francisco Bay Area in 2016. Her mother, Nikki Fitz, was found in a shallow grave in San Francisco's McLaren Park, but Ariana was gone.
It breaks my heart that Ariana's not with her mom and Ariana's not with her family, but it also breaks my heart even more is that I know that Nikki wants nothing more than Ariana to be with us, to be home.
Tessa Fitz says she is convinced her niece Ariana was taken by people close to Ariana's mother. San Francisco police searched for weeks. They had some leads, but no arrests. A digitally altered photo was made of what she may look like now.
And she's 8 now. I don't want to see this in a picture. I want to see her face in person.
Should Ariana Fitz be a household name like JonBenet Ramsey?
Absolutely. Why is her case any different from Kaylee Anthony? I can tell you, the color of their skin is the only difference.
For 5 desperate years, the family has continued searching using flyers, social media, and Black and Missing Inc.
Do you think it has anything to do with color?
I try not to put myself in the mindset of the race issue with her media coverage. All I want is for there to be the media coverage for her. I think she deserves that.
The Fitz and the Robinsons want only one thing, with hugging their missing children once again.
Do you think that Ariana is still alive?
I do believe that Ariana is still alive, and it would mean everything to me to know where she is and to find her. I wait for that day every single day. I believe that day will come.
How long will you search?
Till I find my son. I have to. I mean, he's my responsibility.
Sarah Seidner, CNN.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And I'm still searching for him. Thank you for coming in this morning for this morning Q&A. My name is David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. My son went missing in Buckeye, Arizona's desert on June the 23rd. He was doing what he loved. He's a field geologist working for a company called Matrix New World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. There, like I say, he's a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. On the morning where he went missing, my son met a worker from a company called Weber off of Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road in Buckeye. They had a conversation off the road there. My son followed him down in the desert to a well site. At that well site, they spoke for briefly 10 minutes, had a 10-minute conversation. In that conversation, the worker said that my son waved off to him, got in his vehicle, drove off, where he was never, ever seen again. The worker said he later followed the tracks because it was raining and watched all the other tracks from everybody else out there in the desert. And he followed the tracks of Daniel. And Daniel's track led to a T-junction where the track showed that Daniel went farther into that desert, out west into that desert, where his track just kept going that direction. So we're here today because of that story, because of that narrative. Everything that we know about what happened to my son started from that well site, according to the worker's testimony to what happened to my son. Of course, with me being the father that I am, of course, I would want to put in the missing person report. If you guys know the story, I put a missing person report in the exact day that my son went missing. Daniel's not a person to go over 6 hours without telling his siblings, myself, or his mother where he's going. He tells someone. So, finding out that it was over 6 hours that my son haven't spoken to anyone, that was very out of character for him. That prompted me as a father to understand my son, his pattern, and like I said, his pattern was broken. His pattern was broken. That caused me to have some concerns, and at that point, I wanted to put in a missing person report. I was very slow at beginning to put the missing person report in. I was worried when I found out the 6 hours, but before that, I was a little slow with doing it. Make sure I did all my due diligence first. That means the phone calls to having his sister to go check, and also being mindful that my son is a young male, black male, and that when you get police involved going to his apartment, I want to make sure that everything is a reason for those officers to go to his apartment. So again, after the 6 hours, I was able to put in a missing person report, request a missing person report. And I was told that you had to wait to 12 hours before you can put that report in. Of course, I waited around the house in South Carolina, and until that time came, and I was able to put that report in. I started off with Tempe Police Department. That's my son was a resident of Tempe. They the one alerted me to go gave me the number to the Buckeye Police Department because that's the last place area that he was seen. It was his last seen during the time. I didn't realize the name of what is the White Tank Mountains, but that was under the Buckeye jurisdiction. So, mind you, that's one of the reasons why the Buckeye Police Department was alerted first. Again, the Buckeye Police Department officers seemed to be very cooperative at the time. It was Officer Cruz who was taking on the case. At the point he was going up to Sun Valley Parkway. I didn't know that what the road. I've never been there, of course. So I was really grateful that he was riding up through Sun Valley Parkway, Cactus Road area to see if my son vehicle was on the side of the road, is what I was told. Of course, I'm doing a lot of phone call with the workers, co-workers in his job. Found out that he was actually missing in the desert. I requested him to go out in the desert to search for my son. Officer Cruz alerted me, helped me to understand that it was night there, and they would try to do it in the morning. Very anxious. I was ready, of course, to get in sleep. Stayed up the entire night. The next morning, I did talk to the officers again all through the night. A different officer, Haley, came in to work for the day shift, and I went into the day shift. I was told that they was going to send a helicopter out to search for my son. I was really grateful to hear that. I'm very excited because I'm making preparations of coming to Arizona if things didn't turn up. But the officer called me like an hour or so later, say, "Hey, Mr. Robinson, that flight was canceled. It was unauthorized." His supervisor, his sergeant, came in and said it was unauthorized because Daniel's a grown man. If he want to disappear on his own, he can. He had the right to do so. After hearing that, I was quickly moved. When people didn't want to go look for my son, I knew I had to do it myself. So I grabbed everything I can, threw it in my car, and headed up to Arizona, where I am today. I've been here since June 26th last year. When I hit the ground, I got a call from my auntie in Pennsylvania, and she said, "Hey, David, they say they're gonna put this Phoenix Firebird in the air." I was really relieved to hear that as I was coming into Arizona. And she says, I was really grateful. The Phoenix Airborne, that was almost 3 days after my son went missing. So at the time, I was just happy that it was happening. I didn't understand that at the point. But like I said, they say they did that search at the well site, but that didn't stop me as a father to see more. So I worked really closely with the Buckeye Police Department and also worked closely with his job to try to understand what happened. I did get an interview, set up interview through my son's job to meet this guy from Weber, who was last seen my son. One of those reasons why, because, hey, anybody can tell you something that's different from the character that you know of your own child. As me as a man, I want to look at this other man in the eye, and he tell me what he told these officers. I have my tactics of talking to people, and I know how men is. When we talk, we need to look eye to eye, and you can tell a lot. In that conversation, yeah, he did relate the same exact story. Well, a little different, of course, because two officers, Haley and Cruz, both told me two sides of those type stories at the beginning. Which part was different is only that the reason why he went to go look for my son. One was because the job was kind of searching, looking, inquiring about my son. Did he see them? And that's what prompted him to go search my son. The other was he did it on his own will. Hey, I just wanted to go see if he's coming back, that type deal. So when I talked to him myself, he stuck more into, he just pretty much wanted to do it his own deal. And so it sounded kind of similar to what the officers told me. So I went with it at first. We had some more conversation. That's when I learned that, according to him, he was there the entire week. He was still there that day when I got there. And when they did this search, supposedly did that search with the Phoenix Firebird, I asked him, I said, "Oh, so you was here when the officers showed up to do that search?" And he said, "Yeah, I was here that week, but he said, I heard they're supposed to be doing something like that, but I didn't personally see any officer or in the helicopters. But he was at the well site." So that really puzzled me. I was really shocked to hear that. So in my mind, in my opinion, is that the search never happened, So kept on in conversation. That's when he told me his idea of what happened. His story started changing. He started adding more details. That details was he stayed left of the tracks that led from the job site because he didn't want to disturb them. He got to T Junction, he made sure he stayed left. He made it to this gate where he drove a mile or so, went through the gate, drove a mile or so, left for those tracks that led out south. So he got out there, he drove around for a while. He got out his vehicle, walked around for a while, and got up on this hill. And he looked over this hill to see if he could see my son off in the distance, see his vehicle. He then came back down the hill. He walked for some more, got back in the vehicle, drove, and he also got out and started painting rocks with red paint. So the officers know where to look. But I meant to mention also that he described it, got to that T-junction, saying left of the track. He said he knew that this thing, he stayed there to the left of the tracks because he knew this was going to turn big. The police officers going to be looking for him, and this thing was going to turn big, and that they become national. So that was his takes of that. Just hearing all of that to me at the time, just was taking all that in. I had a witness there. I was really doing an interview, collecting evidence. I didn't jump at him for saying certain things. I didn't try to correct him or anything like that. I just took what he said and I went with it. I went quickly and reported it to the Buckeye Police Department, what I learned. And that's the farthest that conversation went. It never made it to the report. It never made it to being investigated. His statements about the staying left of the tracks and painting red rocks, and that he knew that this thing was going to become national and the police were going to look. And at that point, it was even hard to determine if my son was actually missing at that point. So in my purview, yes, I'm a father, I'm a concern. I know my son's pattern. To me, yeah, he was already missing, but to the average person, that is something that shouldn't have already been discovered. Of course, my son been missing, like I said, for that length of time. One thing that was separating me from my son was the desert. So, being here in town, I grabbed my daughter. She and I used to go around. We thought of every theory we can, even theories that I didn't want to believe. Like anybody think I don't think outside the box, or I'm just stuck on one side because he's my son. They're sadly mistaken about my character. One of the biggest things is my daughter and I, we even considered that Daniel left without telling us somehow, which we thought was very way out of character and wouldn't happen. But just because of doing due diligence, we decided to check every airport parking lot. I mean, it took a lot of going in the airport because a certain level of time they have you check back out the gate. But going in and out the airport to check I didn't know they had that many parking spaces, but checking every level to every parking space there is, every private parking space there is, just different locations, places where we think that Daniel would like to visit. I mean, just everywhere. We did everything we can, hospitals, what you name it, just to made it to the Red Cross, just whatever we could do. With COVID going on, we was able to just do a whole lot of movement. Also, I used to go up to Sun Valley Parkway every day. I used to try to figure out a way to get in that desert. I was going to take my car into that. I was advised by the Buckeye Police Department not to because of the dips and dives in there. It looked really flat to me from the road, but being I didn't know anything about that desert, I decided to listen to their recommendations. I'm a veteran. I've been in Afghanistan. I'm a OEF veteran. And I know a lot about the desert. I did some heat training and things like that to be prepared for the desert of Afghanistan. So I knew that the desert is something that you just don't play with. Even though the terrain here in Arizona is a lot different from there in Afghanistan, it's a lot more vegetation all over the place. It's a little different. I knew that it's something you just don't go play with. So again, I used to go up there every day almost and just use my binoculars and try to see if I can locate Daniel from the road as I was working behind the scenes to get a search started. I was going to get in that desert one way or the other, and I was figuring out a way to do so to go rescue my son. I was able to do that quickly by getting online and putting out a lot on social media, trying to get in contact with people who live here in Arizona. Especially I was looking for people in Buckeye who knew about that desert terrain that could help. I ended up running to someone where I was able to start my searches. Put the first two websites. Please Help Find Daniel was the first website that I used to try to find people, and then also started a second website. Was at the time was called searchfordaniel.org, and we used that to organize the searches. So that's where the searches began. Had my searches out there for a while, looked for my son, covering the area where my son was last seen. That science behind that was, again, how far his vehicle can go in that area, but we had to go search far. We was using more UTV, ATV type vehicles. That was more of a search and rescue, trying to get as far as we can. Almost 30 days later, my son's vehicle showed up on July 19th. The rancher was out there in that desert looking for his cattle, tracking his cattle down for a couple of days. 2 to 3 days prior, he was in this area, seeing if his cattle came through there. The vehicle wasn't there, but on the 19th of July, the vehicle showed up. Like I said, almost 30 days later. After he first saw the vehicle, he explained to me that the vehicle looked very clean, like it just happened. So he assumed that the person who was in the vehicle was still around the area. Him and his workers was screaming and yelling, trying to call the person back to see if they could, help them if they wrecked the vehicle down there. But after a while, he noticed that the car, the Jeep, was something he saw on local news. And he decided to call the Buckeye Police Department and asked to inquire if it's the same vehicle that they was looking for. He was able to get them the tag, and they said, yes, that's the vehicle they're looking for. A few hours later, they showed up at the scene. Again, I wasn't alerted until the next day, well over 24 hours, the Buckeye Police Department called me and alerted me that the rancher found the vehicle. From that point, that's where my understanding of what at that time what happened to my son. I was told that, hey, well, we found your son's vehicle. Rancher found it out there in the ravine. Of course, that really stunned me. It was earlier that morning, probably roughly around 9, almost 10 o'clock that morning. And he alerted me, hey, look, we found the vehicle. Next thing I thought they was going to say, they found Daniel. He said, hey, we did not find your son. We did this extensive search. We used cadaver dogs, search dogs. We didn't see any footprints. We didn't see any tire tracks. We didn't see anything. But we was out there working. We had helicopters to, you name it, drone, UTVs, everything out there looking for your son. I was relieved to hear that, but at the same time, I was very devastated that they didn't find my son at all. But he did offer me to come into the police department to brief me on everything they found. So I made it to the police department where we met in the parking lot. He pulled out his folder. Detective Biffin pulled out his folder, two maps and one picture. In that one picture, or those two maps, he showed me from those maps where my son's vehicle was located outside of that Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road, where you see it right here. If you guys go on to set the map on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, you can actually see that map where it's located and give you the coordinates and things like that. So he pointed that out to me. Also, he then secondly pulled a picture out and it showed me there's a picture almost similar to this one behind me. But he gave it to me. He pointed out, hey, look, this is your son's clothing. Everything he was wearing on his body is on the ground. And then he said, hey, do your son wear boxers or briefs? I told him, hey, I wouldn't know that. He said, well, his everything he's wearing was on the ground, his underwear to his socks on the ground in a pile of clothing. He said, that's what this is. This is a safety vest. He showed me a point where the boots would be located. And he said, hey, their theory as a Buckeye Police Department is that your son, he said the great thing is he didn't get injured. We didn't see any blood in the vehicle, so that indicate he didn't get injured, but he was wearing the seatbelt. And we know this because of the way the seatbelt locks when the airbag deploys. The seatbelt will lock and won't retract. He said also that they believe that he had a severe head injury because because of him shredding the clothes. He said they believe that he kicked his way out the sunroof. He got out the vehicle, shredded his clothes because he went through very much details about how a brain injury can cause you to feel like you're hot and you shred your clothes. At the time when he was telling me that, I told him I didn't know that. I didn't know the science behind that because I myself had a brain injury in Afghanistan, and I haven't yet to shred my clothes. But he explained to me that's what happens when you have a brain injury. And so he said that they believe that he, because of that, he stripped his clothes off. He must have walked off to find a cool spot, a tree or something, and where he went to go rest and get some sleep and rest. And he must have come to his injuries or some type of wildlife out there got him, some type of animal. Then after that point, he asked me, did I want to go see this vehicle? I thought he was going to take me to the scene. I didn't know. I know I was in Buckeye. I didn't know how far the police station was from this location. But I did follow the detective to a few blocks down the road, and it was at a police facility where I got out of my car from the front of that facility. He opened up a side gate to let me walk through. And as I walked through, he stopped me, said, hey, Mr. Robinson, I've seen this type of thing before. Families think that their loved one is missing. And he gave me a story about some lady who the family thought she was missing. Turned out that she decided to become a nun, and she just left the family. And later she found out she was missing. Say, hey, I'm not necessarily saying that, but maybe your son decided to leave and join the monastery to become a monk. After he said that to me, he proceeded on to the back, and he opened up this gate with this combination, and he got in there, opened the gate there. It was a whole lot of torn vehicles out there. It bothered me just by looking at that at the moment. The next thing was he from that distance of the gate, he pointed out, said, "Hey, that's your son's vehicle over there." Just seeing that vehicle for the first time, mind you, Daniel, his sisters, and myself, we were having a plan for me to be there in July to see that vehicle for the first time, not just see the vehicle, but to spend time with them. We had plans for July. And instead of me seeing it the way that Daniel wanted to show it to me, I had to see it like that. And when I saw it, of course, I was very stunned. I couldn't move. He kept saying, "Hey, Mr. Robinson, you can go over there and look at it." I just couldn't move. So I was standing next to him, and then he started walking. So I started following. We made at least about 3 feet away from the vehicle. He said, "Go ahead, look inside the vehicle. Go ahead, and you can lift the airbag up, and you can look inside, because one of the airbags was hanging out the driver's window." Of course, I could not move again. So he decided to lift it up himself. He said, "Hey, you can take a peek on the inside if you like." I still couldn't move. He opened up the back door on the driver's side. And that's when I saw the interior of the vehicle, a lot of stuff there. I didn't touch anything. I just saw it. And he said he grabbed I asked him, I pointed at some bag that was sitting on the back seat. It had NYPD on it. Asking, "What is that?" Saying, "Why would my son have an NYPD bag?" He said, "Oh, that's something your son had." And he took the contents and dumped it out. I can't remember what those contents was, but he dumped it out on the seat. I know there's a lot of bags. It looked like, to me, rocks or dirt or something. He said he didn't know what those was, but I later found out, of course, through the process of some of the geologists that comes out to the searches, and especially his coworkers at the time. Those was the samples that he gets from the wells that he was supposed to later turn into the company. So those items is in that vehicle. Of course, he still continued to, "Hey, you can go look in the vehicle." I told him I had enough. After I told him I had enough, I just need to get out of there. It's too much for me. He said, "Well, Mr. Robinson, if you need to get this vehicle out here today, if you don't, we're going to have it towed out of here, and you have to pay storage fees." That stunned me because I didn't know how to think at the time. I was at an emotional state. I asked Detective Biff, and I pretty much begged him, "Hey, look, guy, I'm not from Arizona. If you can at least give me 3 days, I can figure out a way to get this vehicle out of here and find out where to take it. I may need to call the financing company or something. I'm trying to figure out what way I would have to go to get the vehicle out of there." He finally agreed to that, give me 3 days. But in the process of saying that, I already had in the workings to get a meeting with Chief Hall, which ended up happening a day or so after that conversation. So I had the meeting with Chief Hall. I brought in another gentleman with me to be an observer. He just wanted to be there just to listen. And also I recorded, and I record everything. In that meeting, I had a meeting with Chief Hall, Chief Sanders, Detective Biffin, Sergeant Hanneman, and all the rest of them out there, officers. Where I was in the big conference room there, where I was able to ask all the questions that I had at the time. One of the biggest questions was that one picture that I had. I only had one picture to go by, look at the scene. When I looked at that picture, the one thing I didn't notice was I noticed there wasn't there is markers. Usually I'm not an expert, but I know from watching just regular crime shows, whenever officers do their job and canvass the area after a shooting or anything, they find every shell on the ground, they'll mark it with some type of marker and take pictures. I noticed that these pictures, this is a picture here, for instance, from the pictures that the Buckeye Police Department gave me, and there's no markers or anything there. So I asked them why they didn't do any forensics work. The answer to that was that because there was no blood in the vehicle. But I said, "Well, how you know my son was even in the vehicle? I mean, if you didn't do any kind of forensics work, how would you know that my son in the vehicle?" Sergeant Hanneman's his answer is that, "Hey, it's your son's vehicle. It's obvious he was driving it. How you know he was driving it? Oh, it's obvious he was driving. It's his vehicle. It's obviously he was driving it." So that was very offensive to me. How you know that? To make a long story, in that meeting, also, Chief Hall kept using the word pictures. We take a lot of pictures. So I cut him off. Like, "Look, you keep using plural. You're saying pictures, but you guys gave me one picture." where's all these pictures? Where he said he would provide me with every picture they have of everything they took. I was relieved to hear that, but at the same time, I also requested for them to do some type of forensic work. I went back to that question. Hey, y'all need to do some forensic work on my son's vehicle. I need to know if anybody was else in that vehicle. They agreed to do fingerprinting. I say, okay, great. We can get the fingerprinting because that's what I need. I need y'all to at least do fingerprinting. They agreed to do that. And they said they'll hold the vehicle for a few more days to do that. And I was grateful for that. But I also wanted those pictures that Chief Hall claimed they had. And also I needed a report. He said at that meeting that the report is not totally complete because it's a partial report. They immediately gave me that. They said, hey, this is a partial report, but the finished report, we finalizing this report now, and I'll give it to you, have it given to you. Detective Biffin would give it to me. A few days after, of course, Detective Biffin did deliver that. He gave me what they call at the time a final report. That was it. But I can tell you after that meeting, they turned over everything. The vehicle was already turned over to me on the 20th, but they held it for a couple of days just to do the forensics. And then on the day of the meeting, they gave me everything in the evidence badge that they got from the scene, but it was marked for safekeeping. Taking that stuff home and puzzling all that in my mind, look at the pictures that they gave me and everything, that made me listen to their whole entire theory, what they believe happened to my son. And that was just the end of the story. And also noticing on the website when my family alerted me that they said they had no more leads to follow, that made me very angry. And that prompted me to get a private investigator. That's when I was able to get my private investigator who came in and to take over this case. He went up to the Buckeye Police Department for any information he get from them. They gave him the black box data, what they pulled from the vehicle. Because they did tell me at the time that they pulled that data in that meeting, and that Daniel was driving over 30-some miles per hour when he hit the bottom of that ravine. His car flipped and rolled and did all this twist stuff, and where it landed on the side. The sunroof glass was on the ground and things like that. But like I said, they turned all those things over to my investigator because they said they had no more leads to follow. They came out publicly to say that, and they told him that they didn't have an investigation. So they gave him everything. They gave me everything, and that was the end of the story. But of course, like I said, the type of father I am, I extended my searches to cover this area where the vehicle was found. That's that weekend of the vehicle being found. I expanded my searches out there, and the science was how far can a person walk based on him not having any clothing on, no shoes on, how far you can search. So we started searches that way, and also kept in mind the well site where he was last seen. So we did a combination of both. That's when we was able to do the sector map and break things down in grids and start searching in that form of fashion. So it turned out to be a rescue mission at that time. But I can tell you from those chain events, I have learned a lot from my investigator who came on the scene. He, like I said, he was told that they didn't have an investigation. That made me angry. That made me go on social media at night, stayed up at night, and never get into sleep. I was pushing really hard to make sure I kept this little attention I was getting. It took 3 months, but get this keep the local news things going, and also keep things on social media through my website, pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. Kept running the searchfordaniel.org for the searches, and also, like I said, keep my son's name out there, trying to reach everybody I can. I'm trying to force the national news to take my son's story. I will. If you can't get in contact with the person, you hit up their friends. And I end up getting a breakthrough with Joy Reid from MSNBC, just sending out some messages to her friends that she follows without the little star thing, and hit them up really hard. One of her friends, she said one of her friends came and alerted her about the story. So she was one of the ones that came out first about the white woman syndrome. She caught a lot of backlash about that, but it's at the same time it put a light on the case. Also, I put some tweets out there. One of the tweets went viral. A young lady took a tweet of mine, retweeted it, add or comment, hey, you guys take the time out to look at this case that went viral. So that helped out a lot. And then thirdly, the Petito case happened. And so that put a lot of light on the discrepancies of the things that happen, disparities, I meant to say, of how people of color cases are covered. So that also gave me some opportunity to get some attention out there for my son case. And at the same time, to continue on the searches, is very trying to juggle a bunch of cards at one time. And that background, trying to do the investigative part that I've always been doing outside of my own investigator, my private investigator. I've been also continuing to do my own. I had some people that I was working with from different departments in the background, trying to get bolster the Attorney General's office into my son's case early on. So I've been working on a lot of that, trying to figure out how to get FBI into involved. That later failed, so I had to start over again where I'm at now, still continuing to try to get FBI involved in my son's case. It's a lot of moving parts, but God bless that I was able to do so. And I'm here now to share those stories with you. I know it took a long time. It's not normally what I do on my Q&As. I usually be started by now by, thanking everybody for coming in, which I am now. I really thank you all for coming in this morning to this Q&A. Of course, David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. I do have to mention, and I meant to bring on Evan Short. He will be coming in on this. I think I didn't even send him the link, but he should have been coming in this morning. I think I may be too late to put that link in to get him to join in. That's one thing I didn't do. But anyway, we normally would have had Mr. Short here on this Friday's Q&A to share some things that we do out there in the desert. Being that I didn't send him a link, and I hope he, I'm trying to see if there's a way I could have done that. But being that I didn't send him a link, and I just realized that now. Oh, here I go. Let me see if I can get him in. If he's out there somewhere, if I can send this to him. Let me see here. Y'all, please forgive me for this slowing down this Q&A, but I want to make sure I can get Mr. Short in on this Q&A this morning. And if you can bear with me, I can see if I can get him on here. But again, my name is David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Robinson, who went missing on June 23rd in Buckeye, Arizona. I've been here since June 26th, as I was telling you on the beginning here, searching for my son. I have not stopped, and I will not quit on trying to locate or even figure out what happened to my son. So I'm really grateful for you guys have been in here all this time, helping out in everywhere you can, whether there's donations to this being the support like you are right now. I'm really grateful that you're doing everything you can to help. So I did send Mr. Short this invite, so I hope he get that. If he out here listening right now, I need him to get on. It's supposed to be in at 7:00 here. But I thank you, thank you everybody who's been here, like 12-Step Woman. I really appreciate you being here this morning, helping out in the chats. Also, Gwen, thank you for being here this morning, being the moderator. You guys have any questions? Please put the question before the word question before your question. That'll help me find you as I'm coming down the comment section. Put a big capital letter, big old red Q. That'll help, or capital letter Q, things like that. So all the upcoming, everything you need to find is on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. If you guys can check out pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, that will help out a lot. Also, blessings to all. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you, Kathy, for being here. Really good to see you here. Also, I really appreciate you. Been knowing you for a long time, so I'm really grateful for you coming in. Also, thank you, Sophia. Thank you so much for being here and being part of the A team, making sure that everything goes straight. In the background, really helping out, keeping me in order and things like that. So, in all the upcoming things that we're working on, whether it's the foundation to other things. So, I'm really grateful for your expertise. Take your time out outside of your own business. You have your own business going on, but you take time out to help me find my son. So grateful for you. Thank you, Rachel, for coming in this morning off of YouTube. I really appreciate it. If you guys are new here, please hit that like, or if you already been here, please don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. That would definitely get the algorithm going to keep me moving on. And my whole goal is to try to reach as many people as I can. So if you guys can do that, I really appreciate that. Again, thank you, Brooklyn Court Cutters TV for being here. I really appreciate you coming out this morning. Thank you, Shauna. Man, thank you for all your work. Also being part of the A team, working behind the scenes to help. So I'm great. I say good morning and afternoon, and welcome to the Q&A. Please remember to when asking questions to put the big there you go, the big letter question in there before you question, or the big question marks before you ask, and that helps a lot for me to be able to see those questions that are coming down in the comment section. Also, thank you, Gina, for being here, and thank you for all the hard work you're doing with the flyers and things like that, getting those out, helping in every other way that you can. I really appreciate you spending your time behind the scenes to help the efforts to find Daniel. Also, thank you, Black Cord Cutters again. Pamela, thank you again for coming. Thank you for your prayers, your love, and your support. Thank you, Barry, for your hard work that you do in the background to help everything, to help to get my son, case going forward. So I'm really grateful for all your hard work and helping me in the background. So God bless you for everything you do. Thank you, Mr. Short, for being in the comment section. You're still there. If you can let me know if you received that invite, I would like to have you on. I meant to send it to you yesterday. My apologies. If you're not here, still in the chat, I will try to make sure that you're on next Friday. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in for Mr. Short. It was my mistake yesterday. I meant to send him the link, the invite link to get here on this channel. But again, Mr. Short, if you're still out there, if you want to come on, I did send you a link, and I hope you did get that. If you didn't get it, I'll send it a second time. Okay, I got 12-Step Woman. Thank you for being here this morning. I really appreciate that, Gwen. Thank you for being here and all the hard work you do in the background. Thank you for being that moderator to keep the chat where it needs to be. And I'm really grateful to put the information out there that needs to be seen. Again, Shauna, thank you for being here, working in the background, like I said, doing all the hard work that you do, keeping everything straight, keeping our time. I call you the timekeeper. Thank you for everything that you do and helping us and your part helping with the A team. The petition is at 110,983 have signed. We're gonna get to that 150 mark. You guys keep, if you want to keep, you want to keep signing that petition. I really ask you guys to do that because that petition means a lot. That petition is a voice, and also is a person. I don't like to look at it as just a plain signature. It's also your voice. So, if you do that, I really grateful if you guys can go out there and sign it. You can sign it multiple times. If you have multiple email addresses, you can do that too. You can sign it. So thank you. Also, Jazz Raglan, thank you so much for being here on the Q&A. I'm not sure if that's a question. If you guys have any questions, please put the word question there first, or a big Q there, or a big red question mark, and I can tell if this is a question. But they said coworker definitely knows more than he's saying. If my coworker went missing, I wouldn't have stopped searching until they are found. Just weird. One thing I can say about that, Jazz, is that that's one of the concerns that we have as a family. My son do work for a company. The man at the well site, he just a worker for a different company. It's not really his responsibility. It would be nice of him to do so, to go looking as a person. But it's not his responsibility. It was my son's company's responsibility. He was on their time, and I would assume that all the things I'm doing to search for my son, they would have already done. If it's my worker, one of the first things I would have done is to go look for my worker. They have the resources, they have the money to do so, and the first thing I would have done was that. So thank you for even noticing that. Also, Lawrence, thank you for being in this morning, coming in on the Q&A. I do see a question mark here from Kathy. So I'm thinking this is one of the questions. David, did you ever see the red rocks? No, I have not. Those is just something this gentleman, this worker told me from that well site that he did paint some red rocks with red paint. He said those things, but I have yet to see those things in the desert to this date. So I wasn't purposely looking for it. So maybe that could have been a reason why it's been missed. But no, I have not. And we did a lot of line searches to, you name it, in those areas that he said he was at. So I do have Mr. Short in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Mr. Short. So you guys, thank you again. Thank you again for being here. And I want to put this on. This is something that Mr. Short made. And once this trailer goes off, then I'll bring on Mr. Short. But I'm gonna play one of the trailers that he created, and I really appreciate that. Good morning, Mr. Short.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Doing great.
Good, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I just had to throw that trailer in. Yeah, I just want to throw it in, and I really do enjoy that. Just watching it. So,
yeah, I need to make some more of those.
That's right. Yeah, you do a good job with that. Yeah, I just wanted to come in this morning. I want to apologize first for not being able to get you that link quicker. Somehow I had a really busy day yesterday, and I was really trying to juggle a lot around. And that's one of the things when I was starting for the day, the Q&A today, to put it on the time on YouTube. I forgot to send you that link. So thank you for coming in on short notice.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes. What I want to do is what we did before we came in the other week is be able to give the audience a little talk a little bit about what we do out there in the searches, and also things like, of course, the safety briefing to the things that we need. So I kind of want to start off with that. We've been out there for a while. You came on with your wife. To me, I call it a rescue. You rescued me at a certain point when I was actually needing someone who knew a little bit more about the desert. I guess we both at the time were still learning about that desert, but the thing is, you came in to help organize that particular day, and you've been there since. So I'm really grateful that you and your wife decided to do so. At the same time, I just wanted to make sure that we talk about a little bit about the areas of things that we like to search and the reason why we do our searches out there.
Yeah. Been out there for quite a while, haven't we?
Oh, yes, it's been a while. Yes.
Yeah, the searches originally started out, we're doing a hasty search, trying to get out as far and wide as we can to see if, we were able to find Daniel out there, hiding underneath a tree somewhere, and, a plethora of different situations that we were trying to, think of the different possibilities of, where he would be. Currently, we're wrapping up an area that we're finishing off that's relatively close by where the vehicle's located, with those line searches, because those line searches are pretty key, as far as like being able to see. We've had drones fly out and ATVs and stuff, but I mean, we can be 10, 15 feet apart, and there will be a smaller item between us that you could miss. That's where those line searches, we always say it's like social distancing apart, 6 to 10
Right.
feet is a good spacing. We've got a really great team that is naturally developed through this process of the volunteers that have been showing up. You know, we got to come up with like a nickname like the Dirty Dozen or something better than that, of course. But you know, there's like a good dozen regular volunteers that always show up. That
that's right.
That, you know, we're a tight knit group. You know, like a family. You know, there's a lot of dynamic socially between all of them, and which is really cool. You know, we've had such a wide variety of people that have been out there of all walks of life that are here to help you out, you know, find Daniel. And it's pretty humbling, you know, especially some of the people that are out there are so cool. They're just so cool, and I love hanging out with them.
Oh yeah, very dedicated, very dedicated.
Yeah. It's one of those like happy, unfortunate situations. Like I'm happy to hang out with these people. Unfortunately, we're hanging out in this situation. You know, to help find Daniel. So yeah, we've the area around, you know, like from where the vehicle's at and then all the way up to Sun Valley Parkway, we've been doing line searches there. It's very difficult because from where the vehicle's at, there's a ravine that goes down into a large wash area, but then there's like a, you know, like in the Grand Canyon, you know, like it goes down, but then there's like a little river right in the middle, but there's like this, you know, very wide. So it's kind of like that on a much smaller scale.
Right.
It's about a good mile wide from where the vehicle is to the other side of this ravine that kind of goes back up. We've gone through that wash extensively, multiple times, but getting on the other side of that, so it's like a mile hike from the vehicle up to the other side of where I always refer to the west side of the Hacienda. We want to get to the west side. We've had some ATVs out there, and that's the biggest part right there, is if we can get, you know, an ATV club, you know, people that go out on their side-by-sides, their quads, you know, you got their Can-Am group, you know, whatever it is. You can get some, like I've got a Toyota Tacoma with pretty good 4x4 capability. And I can get out there, but I'm very familiar with it. We've had some people that go out there and they get stuck in their trucks. So it's possible we can get some people out there, and then we want to conduct, you know, some line searches on that west side. But it's the logistics of getting those people out there safely is a bit of a challenge. So that was, you know, I'm always saying it, like if we have like a ATV group, you know, a bunch of people on quads, we have successfully been, when we get those groups, I have grids that are blocked off that I send those people out, and we've been knocking them out. But you know, we don't know what the plan is until Saturday morning around 7 or 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it depends on the people that
we see who shows up, and they're like, all right, well,
right.
Here's what we're going with. So
that's right.
There's some other areas that we've been talking about, and this is another thing we need to discuss to formulate a plan for the next search. And then where does it make sense to send volunteers when we show up? You know, if we get some side-by-sides, or we get a large vehicle with a 4x4, if we get like a 4x4 that's lifted and, you know, can pile 15 people in it, I know exactly where I'm going to send them, on the west side of the Hacienda.
That's right. Yes.
You know, but we haven't had any vehicles like that out yet. So
right. Well, you know, and this is just the fact that, you know, with everything going on with the search itself, you know, we already talked about that. We downgraded the searches itself. Some of the vehicles that we should have out there, we don't have, and also that we actually need. For instance, you know what happened the other weekend. That's part of being out there in the search, and some of the reasons why those vehicles are needed. Not just also to shuttle people to different locations, but also needed because of situations what happen. So I want you to expand on that a little bit. The situation, you know what I'm talking about, and the reasons why we definitely need those type of vehicles out there.
Well, you know, and unfortunately, as you well know, more than anybody else, that wasn't the first situation. So
No.
we've had several times, and this is going back way through last year, with that gentleman that he was 3 kilometers away from where the vehicle's at, like north and west, and he, you know, it was hot. He overheated, and he couldn't go any further. And then he's, you know, 3 kilometers, actually easily 4 kilometers off the road, because, you know, Daniel's vehicle is off of any other road, you know, where that water retention basin is at. So he was way out there. Fortunately, you did have that side by side that you were like, he's, you know, like, where is he at? Give me the coordinates. And then you got those coordinates, and you headed right out there. We've had another loyal volunteer that constantly shows up, that you know, she had, this was a few months ago, where we actually had, you know, the fire department had to come up because some symptoms that she was presenting. Fortunately, that worked out. Fortunately, it wasn't a dire medical emergency. It was, but you know, it was, in fact, I even told you, I was like, we were kind of going back and forth. We don't argue or debate a lot about a lot of things, but that was one of the things I was like, don't spend the money, you know, we'll be fine. You know, I was concerned about you having to fork the money, because those things are not cheap to rent, and you were renting those, and you're like, well, no, let's rent it this weekend, and we'll talk about it next weekend. And sure enough, it was, you know, we had to drive out and pick her up and then get her back to the road. So, you know, the fire department was able to check her out and make sure everything's okay. They handled that situation. I was like, you know, thank God you dug your heels in and say, well, let's do it one more week, and let's see. You know, we were trying to, even back then, we were trying to cut expenses to be frugal with the donations that are, you know, be a good steward, as a good book, I would say. So, and, you know, I've got a off-road motorcycle that I can get out anywhere. You've seen me drive on that thing, but I can't really throw somebody on the back that's having a medical issue.
Right.
That's our biggest concern right there, is, you know, yeah, sure, like a quad, and, you know, the side-by-sides, those are fun to drive around, and they're fun. Of course they are. But that's not why we want them out there. We're not out there for a joyride. We need
You're right. I'll
we
tell
need
them
that. We need that. We've had some fun in them, you know, but that's not why we're asking. You know, even if somebody were to show up and just like show up in their Can-Am and say, I'm here for volunteer support.
Right.
You know, that would be, you know, such a relief off my shoulders. I'm so protective of the people that show up out there. I want to make sure, I'm trying to get emotional, but it's you know, I want to make sure that, you know, the team we have out there is safe. You know, we like I've been saying, is like, if we have 50 people go out, we need to have 50 people in, 50 people out.
That's right.
You know, we need to, you know, stay close to each other, keep an eye on each other. Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. So we had another volunteer who's been showing up very consistently. It was not the first time that volunteer's been out there. She's probably even watching this stream right now. So, you know, a core member of our team, you know, and very smartly, she was like, I'm not feeling good. You know, and then she called it over the radio, and then we heard the call for a medic.
Right.
That's when, like, you know, the soldier and I, you know, like David, you and I, like when we hear somebody call medic over the radio, you know, we get, I can't even explain it, but you know what I mean. It's like my heart, like I was flying through the desert on that little motorcycle that I got, and then, but you know, I was like, all right, well, we got somebody with an ATV. We can get that person on the quad. You know, so we called them out there, and lo and behold, you know, the Lone Ranger out in his on his white horse, aka the U-Haul rental truck, Don't tell U-Haul, don't. But Mr. Robinson was making sure he was getting that rental vehicle out there. He was getting, that it was a van. It was a U-Haul, not 4x4, but you were like, I need to go help my person, and I was a little mad at you for driving that thing out there, but I understood why you were, because we needed to get to that person.
Right.
And fortunately, we were in a spot where that worked out, even though you did get stuck for a couple minutes. But but we, and then we got Tina Wesson, who's like our on-site medical staff. She's been showing up loyally, having her on site. We got that person back over to her, had her checked out. That worked out really well, fortunately. But some of the other places that we're looking at, we're not going to be able to get my truck or a U-Haul rental truck to get out there. So if we really, really need either, if Oprah can donate a side-by-side, or AT&T, if they want to sponsor it, and we'll put an AT&T wrap on the side of it. I don't care.
Yeah, try to do it. One thing I wanted to also mention is that, this search is, when I started my search, is one of the biggest things from day one is the safety briefing.
Yeah.
And we have those safety briefings for a reason.
Those
safety briefings is they're designed, like you said, for the welfare of the volunteers. As I say in the safety briefings, we don't want. I know people out there helping me search for my son, but I'm not willing, and we're not willing to put at the expense of other people. So we make sure that we have everybody out there who come out in the morning to be part of that safety briefing. That's why it's there. It's always 15 minutes, supposed to be 15 minutes before, but you know how it always run. People come in kind of slow, or we come kind of slow. There's been some days myself running behind because of the closures on the interstate. But ultimately, we also make sure we have those safety briefings. The safety briefings, the number one thing for me, to make sure that the volunteers are safe. And like I said, so we can talk about the safety briefing a little bit. You can give an outline of what we talk about in the safety briefing, if you can.
Yeah, I've got notes that I keep track of, like what we do every weekend and stuff like that. And the very top of those notes are the bullet points that I chat about for on the safety briefing. So I use the phrase 50 in, 50 out. We've also used the phrase, we don't want a search party for a search party. But we talk about the heat, that we need to stay hydrated. It's not just hydration. It's also, keeping those electrolytes up while we're out there. You can actually drink, and I've seen this, you can actually drink too much water, flush out all your electrolytes, and then that causes problems. In the Army, I've seen that happen. Oh, yeah. They're like, well, he was drinking water, but he wasn't eating either, so he flushed.
Right. They can kill you if you don't be careful.
Yeah. So, taking care of yourself, keeping an eye out, not just for yourself, put the oxygen on yourself, and then you can help the other person, on an airline. So taking care of yourself, keeping an eye out for your search buddy. And then also, the terrain that's out there. I've hurt my ankle, a few weeks back, and so just walking. And I'm an experienced hiker, so that the terrain out there is pretty rough. Some of the other things is that we talk about is if you see something, how to handle that properly. When I say if you see something, of course, there's a lot to see out there, but we're talking things that normally don't naturally belong in the desert, whether it's clothing, articles of a can. A few weeks ago, it was some aluminum chairs just out in the middle of the desert, anything like that. So we use an application called Gaia GPS, and that tracks we're using that to do all our tracking. One of the other things that it fortunately does is that you can take a photo of something, and then in the app it'll show the exact GPS coordinates, and it kind of makes it simple. So that's a way you can take a photo of something, but then we need to get that information over to Mr. Robinson and his investigators and Buckeye PD. And then what you can do is that's where on the, well, here, let me see. Talking is cheap. Let me bring it up and show you. So here's mine. Mine's a little messy because you can see all the tracks that I've got and all the photos. But what I was talking about is you can take a picture, and let's do an ugly little selfie here. Okay, so ugly little selfie. I can use photo. Now I can go to my photos folder and go to the photo here, and this actually has the GPS coordinates right on the location here. I don't want to show you too much. I'll show you where I live. Then I'm going to have people show up here. So now once I got the GPS coordinates, I can actually go to the Please Help Find Daniel website, and there's a submit info page, right? This is where you upload it and that sends it to everybody. You know, and it asks for your name and phone number and then GPS coordinates. So if you remember, I copied the GPS coordinates, so now I can just paste those in. Paste, bam, right there. And then I can choose the photo from my photo library. There's the photo. It's gonna be my new Facebook profile, David. Okay. So you can choose that photo and you can upload that. I won't upload that. Buckeye doesn't need to see this thing. But that's how you submit the photo. Yeah, so I mean, you can download the photo, but I've found that and the volunteers have also found that it's very easy to get those GPS coordinates. And if you have photos that you haven't uploaded, please, and you've been on the searches, go through your guide GPS and please submit those photos, because I'm happy to see all the little photos of every little thing.
I'm glad
you have too many.
I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the biggest things is that's the reason why we're out there. We're out there to find my son. You know, I want everybody to know that it's very difficult and a long ride from the early days when I first started my searches that only included the well site to graduating to this location behind me to include the place where the vehicle was found. And one of the biggest things is once it became a more of a recovery than a rescue, more of, because we were finding human remains already at the time when I was doing the other searches. But the thing is, from that time, you know, one of the biggest things, like I said, is the line searches, and the line searches itself produce all kind of bones. We have more animal bones than anything, but at the same time, you know, those things, we're not experts, and those things have to be uploaded to the website. And the reasons why they have to be done that way, because, you know, I want to make sure that everybody understand that it need to be uploaded so the professionals can look at these and determine if they're human or they're animal. And also the most important part is the location of these items. Whenever those items are not have any kind of GPS coordinates on it, we know where those items at. It's almost like doing that section. Let's say we break everything out into grids and we search that one little area, that one little grid of line searches we had. And if we don't get those coordinates along with those pictures up, we can get the pictures without the coordinates. That still wouldn't be helpful. I mean, we could help with identify if we found bones, human bones or animal bones. But then they'll ask, like, where did you find it? They actually go find it. The desert is a really big, huge place. So what it does is you hold on to those things, or if you don't have the coordinates there when you send them up to the website, you have to make sure the website GPS. I got it. Evan, the guy is a really good tool. But at the same time, the most important part of everything is to get it up to the website.
Right.
Make sure that we're able to identify. When I say we, it's the investigator, my investigator, myself, especially the Buckeye Police Department and my investigator. Those are two who are really going to determine if those are animals or human remains, but also have those coordinates to where to go find those locations where those remains was found, whether they're animal or human. So
yeah,
that's the very reason why it's very important to have those things uploaded on the website. If all else fails, make sure you have it on the website. That's the most important part of the aspect of that. And I get it, the tool, like I get what you're saying, Mr. Short, it's easier, but you need to make sure that those things make it to the website.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The Guide GPS is a fancy tool to get you some information, but that doesn't get it to Buckeye PD. Anybody uploading to the website, that's how it gets to all of the investigators.
That's right. That's right. And and that's one. But one of the things is also the website. At one point, we did have it just the website, and some people thought it was a little harder to do the coordinates, and some thought it was okay. But like I said, the guy do help with the coordinates, which is good. But like I said, make sure we get those coordinates up there on those pictures. But one thing I want to jump in real quick before we have to get off of here is the time change. Had to change the time from 7:45 to 6:45, and those are reasons why. It also goes with the safety and the safety briefing and things like that. I do want to talk about that a little bit more, and how the time change is very important, and the timing of getting out of the desert and things like that.
Yeah. We I think it was 5:45 originally. We were out there. Or even earlier. Yeah, I mean, I just remember it was like I had to get up at like 3 to to get out there. Because it's it's like an hour drive, and then you got to pack the truck. But we as during the winter when when it was colder and it was darker. I remember we showed up one morning when we realized we got to change the time, because it was like we showed up and it was like 40 degrees and like dark for another hour and a half, and we're like, maybe we should bump the time back. Right. So we made that adjustment, and you got to be nimble. You got to evaluate what's going on in the situation, and then adjust.
Right.
So that's where we're at right now. Is we've been searching out there. It's been getting warmer, and then so what we're doing is we're bumping it back to 6:45. And like David, you were out at the usual location, an hour later, just to see if anybody else did show up, in case they didn't hear the. So we'll try to keep an eye out for people that show up later, but just due to the fact that it's warmer, and we are concerned because it's starting to get hot out there. Even if it's 75, 85 degrees. When that sun's beating down on you, you get pretty toasty.
It feels a lot different, right?
Yeah, you get pretty toasty.
Right.
Sitting, drinking a nice tea next to the pool, and it's 85 degrees and a nice breeze going. That's one thing, but that's not the case out in the desert. So we're adjusting the times. We're constantly evaluating the search, the criteria, what we're searching, where we're searching, how we're searching. We're always looking for better ways. Currently, right now, what we're doing is we are bringing it at an hour earlier, 6:45. That when the safety briefing is going to start and try to kick off. And I know we try to make 6:45, but what's been happening is there's a lot of friends out there now, and we all sit there and talk for several minutes.
Well, we do. That's right.
Catch up from the week. Hey, it's been a week, So one of the other things that we've been doing is being very conscious of everybody's time, because there are people that show up every week, and so we have started alternating every other week for a few reasons. Mr. Robinson, you have to rent a vehicle to get out to do that, because you don't have you have a nice car, and driving it out there, I don't want you to break the car. So it makes sense. You need to have that transportation. So even if we're not renting those side-by-sides, there are still expenses that occur. Gas prices right now, it's like $80, $90 to fill my truck up. So having those spacing out those help you prepare. We can prepare on where to search. Get things prepared better, and then also that allows you to focus on the city search more every other weekend as well too. So
right, and I want to mention that too. A lot of people don't know I have flyers out there on the searches out in the desert. Some people live closer to Buckeye, it's easier for them to come to the search itself. Even if I tell people I would like them to stay and search with us, but if you just want to come up there to grab the flyers and you're not able to search with us, you can also come to that safety briefing just to grab those flyers and take off. And I want to encourage that because I really need people out there to help search. But I also carry flyers out there to the searches for those who live in that area and want to. It's easier than going on East McDowell in Phoenix to meet me out there to grab flyers. So again, I just want to make sure everybody know that every search, there's always tons of flyers there. I keep them in the vehicle. We put some down in our makeshift command center. So if you guys want to come out and grab those flyers, they're there. They're there. And one of the most important part of this effort is also the desert search itself, but also to, because we don't, like Mr. Evan, we talk about all the time, we don't know what happened to my son exactly. So having those flyers out there for somebody to have some type of awareness, even if they get awareness, they want to say, hey, I want to come out there to search, that helps with that. Also, it helps get the word out there in case somebody heard something that day in that area or saw anything. They may say, hey, oh, wow, I didn't know they was actually still looking for this young man, and they know something. And that will help with this tip line behind me at the bottom of the screen there for you all to, utilize. So thank you again, Mr. Short, for coming in on the Q&A. I want to make sure if we can do this every Friday, we can talk about some of the things we want to do upcoming search. So what I want to do also bring in Elaine, if sometimes, because she's very helpful with the line searches itself. Getting those line searches going, and she may want to talk about how we do the line searches and what's her take of that, being that she's actually there in those line searches, keeping it organized. So it's a big group effort. You're a big part of it. Your wife is a big part. She's one of those silent people in the back with you.
Yeah,
but she's working really hard herself, and yourself and out there in that desert, trying to keep this thing organized the way it is. So I really appreciate everything you do, you and your wife, everybody else who come out to the searches.
Yeah, Leanne's the one that keeps everything in order for me. So otherwise,
yes, that's right.
I'd be like a bucket of Jello.
Right.
All right,
right,
sir.
yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for putting that time in, and I really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next Q&A.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for again. This is David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. That was Mr. Evan Short. He's a search / logistics coordinator for my searches out there. He's been there since him and his wife came out to. There was a volunteer came out to help in the search one Saturday. I had a search coordinator at that point. Who was unable to show that morning, and I needed a helping hand. And his wife Evan and his wife stood up out of the crowd, and he's been helping ever since. So I'm really grateful for everything he's been doing up to this point, him and his wife. So thank you again. My name is David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson, who were missing in Buckeye, Arizona on June 23rd. Like any other father, I am here searching for my son. We all, saying people who have missing loved ones often just don't know what to do or where to go. I have found that problem for myself when I first got here in Arizona. Hit the ground. Only person who was here at the time is my daughter. She's a young daughter, a little older than Daniel, a few years. She's one of the twins, sisters that he have. We had to get out here on the ground. Also, Gwen, thank you for doing that too. Been on the ground and doing some hard work of searching for Daniel. So I'm really grateful for you all who came along when I was reaching out in the community. People came along and really worked really hard to try to help everywhere you can. Even people, when I first started trying to get some type of attention through the news media, local news media, we have like Josh Sanders, Nico Briggs. I want to say her name Griggs correctly, but those two mainly from two different local news channels here was the first two that actually gave me some break to get this my son's story out locally here. Also, Mr. Alvin Galloway, he's a radio personality here in Arizona. He does a radio, internet radio that he does. Gave me a break, and some of the other folks. I just want to miss everybody, but I had a lot of people who gave me an opportunity. I was reaching out to them. They reached back, gave me the opportunity to be able to put my son's story here in Phoenix and all the surrounding areas. That's where it all started. And the hard work on the social media platforms to try to push my son's story out there. And was able to get that break, like I told you earlier, when I was able to reach some of those people who's in those areas of nationality. So that helped out a lot. And then, unfortunately, the sad occasion and of the Petito case for that family. So really, I'm grateful you all for being here this morning and in the chat. Thank you, Tia, for being here. Thank you, Tub 883. For being here this morning. I'm trying to go down timeline. I did see a lot of questions come up as I was talking to Mr. Short, and I'll try to get to some of those. We get to a point where I have to jump off the Q&A pretty soon. Of course, it's a busy day. Also be a busy day for me. A lot of things I have to take care of. So I try to make sure I get those things taken care of and not be on here too long. Sometimes I get carried away and talk a little more and longer than I really intend to. So that happens too. So thank you all for being here on this Q&A. Thank you, Barry, again. 975 subscribers. Oh wow, that's great. Let's get this up. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. At 1,000, I can a lot of other perks open up for this channel. So if you guys can, anybody, hey, tell them, hey, just come on here and like, share, and subscribe, and let's get this algorithm going to keep this channel going, and so I can get this my son's story out there. And that's the work you have to do. Saying when you have your loved one out there missing, you have to not only be out in the desert searching, not only producing these banners, the billboards, or putting magnets on your car, and everything you do to try to bring awareness is also doing this right here. YouTube channel. Like I said before, I decided to do this because I can't get the news channels to take my son's story. I have you ought to see the list of people that I have talked to, from Kumo of CNN, even though he's not there anymore, to Joy Reid, to you name it, Dr. Oz, and some of the other ones. I have access to a lot of these people. Jada Pinkett Smith, I heard a Red Table Talk. Have access to a lot of people, their producers. To talk to them, but when I send out certain things I'm doing, like for instance, I had the candlelit visual, reaching out to some of these people, and they wanted to. A lot of them wanted to come out and help spread that awareness. But like I said, they have producers, the network, or whatever the case may be. My son's story at this point, it's like old news, saying to them. So whenever things become old news to a news channel or things like that, they will not air it. So I learned, and this is an example to a lot of other families, you have to create your own. You have to create your own. And the way that I create my own is to start this channel. I'm asking you guys to help me spread this channel, to get it out there, help it grow. This is a grassroots thing. Everything I do is grassroots, from the searches. People volunteer. Evan, he's a volunteer, came out to help me find my son. So everything's grassroots, and I started this channel in a grassroots way. It's not about me. It's about to spread the awareness of what's going on with my son. It's about me searching for my son. It's about my son being missing. It's about trying to get help with this whole situation with my son. So thank you. I have a question here from Shauna. Thank you, Shauna, for your question. Thank you also for being part of a team. So if the coworker was from a different business, did he work regularly with Daniel? No, he did not. According to the company, that was the first time they ever met, and that's just not. And the company, Weber, I cannot say that that's the first time Daniel got involved with workers from that company. I'm not sure about that part, but I know the worker that day supposedly Daniel and that workers, that's their first time ever meeting each other. That's the only thing I can get from that. They didn't work regularly together. So that's the reason why it was kind of hard for me to accept a person's assessment. From what I understand, this guy, what he does for a living is drill wells. He's a well driller. He's not a doctor. He don't have a degree in a medical degree and things like that. So they actually took a weller and put his opinion about my son's eyes, if it was dilated or not. I guess my son stayed still long enough for him to observe that in daylight, or he put a light or something in his eye to see if his eyes dilated, or whatever the case may be. My son was out. So it's ridiculous things like that I see in this report. For instance, that is something. He's not a medical person. Nobody at Dan's job is a medical expert to be given medical diagnosis about what they think about my son. They're not psychologists or anything else alike. So, and then it's impossible for this guy to have known my son for shortly, less than 10 minutes, at least about 10 minutes, and make some type of assessment, opinion about his being odd or strange, that type deal, off a 10-minute conversation. I don't think my son was acting so odd that, it would be something like that. He wouldn't be able to follow him down into the well, if he was that odd. But the thing is, also, I do want to say not only that my son was the first time meeting this worker, he also is a field geologist. Daniel's a field geologist, so you all need to also remember that. He's field geologist, meaning that he works in the field. He rarely ever comes to the business. How do I know that? I had regular meetings with the company when I first came out here in Buckeye, out here in Arizona, Phoenix, and also going out to Buckeye a lot, and also talking to the company here in Phoenix. Always have board meetings with them at the beginning. Spend a lot of time at the company there, and I was told personally by them they rarely ever seen Daniel at the job. He rarely ever come into the building. That's what they do. He said all they field geologists rarely ever come in. They don't get to see them much. The good while that since they seen Daniel. So I always try to figure out still how the Buckeye Police Department was able to get a story that the coworkers say he was acting odd or strange, and when they haven't even seen him. So only person I think on that report who was closest in is one guy from that company that was a friend of Daniel's. So that's the only person. So, and the rest of them, no. The co-workers with an S, and I noticed that department like to use the plurals. Even Chief Hall like to use a whole bunch of plurals, and don't produce plurals. So those type deals. So I have a question here from Lawrence Gelsma. Thank you so much again, Lawrence, for being here. You've been here a lot in support, and I'm really grateful for you being here. The question is, with 9 months searching for foul play by the any Buckeye Police ATV searches in the area, we haven't gone searching, or it's all you. And Lawrence, I guess I'm trying to understand your question. I know you're one of the volunteers. And I thank you for constantly coming out to help out in the searches. And I really appreciate you being out there. No, we don't have Buckeye. Buckeye is never out there in any of my searches. I've been doing the searches since the first parts, probably like the second week or so when Daniel first went missing. I was able to organize the search and start my searches out there. And not one time, Chief Hall came out that one time. He came out just to mislead and also give a story, a narrative about the cartel that Saturday when his vehicle showed up at the scene. He did come out there and talking really loud and in front of the crowd and had us follow him and things like that. So he'd been out there only once just to do that, and then he got back in his vehicle and took off, where I have never seen him ever again out there. And also his officers has been out there to my searches twice under my request. I sent the first request to the Buckeye Police Department, Chief Hall, to have his officers come out there with cadaver dogs, with drones, with certain little. I had a whole laundry list of things that we needed really badly out there in the searches, and they came empty-handed. He had to agree to it because, of course, I CC'd the city manager and some of the other folks that made sure he know that I'm serious when I ask those questions. So they did come out there, but like I said, it came empty-handed. Also did it again this year. Requested them to come out. They did come out. This time they did have something with them. They didn't have everything I asked for, the drones and certain little things, but they did come out with a was supposed to be dogs. Well, they said they had came out with those things, but that day that they came out, they was kind of empty-handed again. What they end up doing is coming out on doing a weekday, met me out on a weekday when they brought a camera, somebody with makeshift cameras, and they had these so-called cadaver dogs. They had, like I told you, that dog looked like somebody's pet. It was really white. It's a white, fluffy dog. I'm gonna put the picture up one day on this Q&A and let you all see. If y'all, I don't know how they train cadaver dogs, so I cannot say the dog is not a cadaver dog. But to me, just looking at it, I would say it's a household pet. But that's what it appearance can be two different things. It may be very well a cadaver dog, but I asked to this date, still waiting on the paperwork for the cadaver dog. They said they would provide it for me. They never did that. Also, the well, when I asked them to go search those wells, they did take a makeshift camera down into the well. I was really grateful at the time until they pull it back up when it was doing the video of it going down, and they pull it back up, and the guys is angry because the bottom of the camera touched the surface of the water. And that's when I realized, hey, wait a minute, you guys not going in the water? No, the cameras wasn't designed to go in the water. It was just to see the surface of water, and I guess I'm supposed to be satisfied with that. Hey, we at the surface of the water. All right, your son is not here, that type deal, and I went on. But again, that's the only few times that the Buckeye Police Department ever showed the end of my searches. Mind you, I've been doing these searches over 9 months now, going out since my son been missing, and they only been out those few times. So that's it. If that answers your question, Lawrence, I hope that really do. Thank you so much again for being out to the searches. Also, thank you. Y'all have the tip line sitting there. If you guys want to put in a tip, those things are there. Thank you so much for putting that up. Thank you, D Love, being here. I do have a question from Tisa Field. Thank you, Tisa Field, for all the hard work you do in the background, that you have done in the background. I really appreciate that. The question is, the vertical mines with the large tire covered over it, has that been searched? If not, the YT channel, Heavy D Sparks and his crew specialize in searching in mines. Maybe they can assist, and that'd be great if they can. So I hear a lot from there's a lot of organizations out there to help. I do reach out to a lot of them. I'm just waiting on responses. So if they can actually help out and respond, that'd be wonderful, wonderful. Now, as in for the vertical mine, right now I'm waiting on approval from BLM, Bureau of Land Management, to be able to go online. I do have a company standing by that really want to do that. That same company that I had to search the wells, the 2 wells that I had the video, which I may play that video again at some time here on the Q&A. But they the same company that's willing to go in. They have a crew that actually go down to the well, because that wells, those mines, I meant to say, those vertical mines near the area, they go straight down. I mean, really deep, at least a few hundred feet deep before it hit the surface of the water, almost like how those wells were, but it's so wide, and so they had to kind of rappel down there to a certain point, and then start their cameras from that point going down in the water, because we don't know how deep that those mine shafts are from the surface of the water. I mean, I'm sure that water started building up in that mine shaft over years of sitting there and years of raining off and on. So it started collecting water, because there's a lot of water there. And like I said, we don't know how deep that thing goes, but so those cameras definitely have to go down in there to be able to search around, look around. So still in the process, to make a long story short, that still in the process. So thank you for that question, Tisa Field. Thank you, Don, for being here. You guys, if you have any questions, please put the big Q there, the word question or the big question mark like that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Gwen, also for putting that up. Of you guys putting that in the chat. So that really helping out. I'm going down this really fast. I'm at the end of this Q&A pretty much. Thank you, Sonia Bright. If you're saying Sonia, Sophia Bright, I'm sorry. I thought it was saying Sonia. But thank you, Sophia Bright, for being here. You said you're from the British Columbia. I really appreciate you taking your time to be here on this Q&A. And you said Grizzly in the house. I love the Grizzlies. So thank you for being part of Gisla's crew, Gisla K, and being a Grizzly coming out here to help out. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You being here. D-Love, thank you for being here this morning. I think I went down a little too fast on the chat. So if I missed your question this morning, I want to apologize for that. Please save your questions for the next Q&A. It would be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm thinking about just try to keep it that way. I'm not going to make a promise with that. Sometimes I have to get some word out, so it may be more. But as it stands right now, I'm trying to make sure be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The Wednesday Q&A would be 2. It'll be a prime time and also the morning, like I am doing this morning. So be the morning, and then there'll be a prime time. So thank you, Brooklyn and Michelle, for being here. But like I said, that'll be a prime time, and you guys can get both. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday is it. We're not having any searches this weekend. I think I already put that out. Everybody aware of that. The next search will be on the 16th. I believe it's the 16th. I want to make sure I got that correctly instead of just saying that. But I do have that for the 16th next operation search. And the city distribution will be this Saturday. That will always be every Saturday, until unless I have a Saturday where I cancel. But it's every Saturday for the city distribution. But the desert searches will be every other week. So please be aware of that. You can find all that information on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. That also helps if you guys go on there and see the information there. I did update it, the website. There may be some little areas I missed. If you see anything that's missed, just know that, like I said, the searches start at 6:45 now versus 7:45. That's probably one of the things that's on the website that I would miss. Just going through there to try to make sure I get all the information on there correctly. So thank you all for showing up. I'm still going down timeline, see if I can get one more or 2 more questions in. And if I can't get any questions, I will go ahead and end this Q&A. And we'll go ahead and then move on from that point. And I really hope you all have a good day today. I do have a question here from Baby Girl Lad 12. Have you thought about the reason Daniel might have had an NYPD bag? Does he have any NYCD connections other than the job headquarters? It's odd that he would put work samples in that kind of bag. Well, he didn't have the work samples in that bag. The work samples was in the vehicle in different kind of bags. It was in whatever kind of bag, almost like Ziploc bags to me. But that's what the samples was in. But as in for the New York NYPD bag, when I think about it now, as you asked that question, my son have traveled to New York. Of course, he have friends there. He wanted to go visit Times Square. So I'm not sure if that's something he picked up from a gift shop or something. I don't know. So it's possible that's probably where that bag came from. But I do know it was NYPD bag, and but I do know my son have been to New York before, so maybe he could have bought that bag there. I'm not sure. I can't verify that either, but maybe that could be. So, all right. Thank you for your question. I'm still looking down the timeline here. If you guys have any questions, any comments, you can go ahead and throw them in real quick. I will try to see if I can get to them. I do have another one from Baby Girl Lad 12. Have you been able to talk to Daniel's friend who visited him the weekend before he went missing? He has been helpful. Isn't he from New York? Yes. One of his friends from New York was down. No, I wasn't able to talk to him personally. But I do know who he is. My investigator was able to talk to him at the time, ex-investigator, and I'm sure the Buckeye Police Department was able to talk to him, being that his name was in their report. So, but yes, I'm aware of him, and he was down here to visit Daniel. So thank you again for your question. I really appreciate you coming in this morning to be a part of the Q&A. All right, I've seen this new person here. Miss Dolphins girl, was that 1977. I had to look at it correctly. My contacts added up a little bit here. But good morning to you, and thank you so much for being a part of the Q&A. I really appreciate you coming out from the YouTube channel just to be a part. So thank you also, Terry, who's this right here, Tanya Beth, for coming out. You're not late. You're right on time. So I really appreciate you coming out. If y'all don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe button. I really need you all to do that, especially if you're new and you're just coming on this channel. If you can do that. And the reason why I'm asking for you guys to do that is because, first of all, I would like to see you come back again. The other part is also that helps the algorithm get my son's story out there. And that's what I'm here for. If you come in here to support, that's what I'm here for. Created this channel to get my son's story out there and to make awareness. Or try to reach anybody who may know something, have heard something, so can say something. So that's what the tip line here behind me is for. Again, with the tip line, that's a pay for tip line. I pay for that. It's operated 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's a service there. And for you all, if you want to give a tip or want to talk to someone, you can stay anonymous if you like. They will allow you to do that. If you didn't want to talk to anybody, you can do what you see scroll on the bottom of the screen. You can text the word tip to this number, and you can still remain anonymous if you like. So again, the search operations, the next one would be out in the desert on the 16th. If you guys want to come out at 6:45, if you guys want to contact me, have any questions, concern, or you just want to make a comment, you can use the number that you see on the bottom of the screen. And if you guys want to come out to searches, but you live in another city, state, and you just cannot be out here, there's other ways you can help. You can go to let's see here. You can go to other ways to help here. You volunteer in other ways. There's a tab there on the website at the top up there. Volunteer in other ways. You can fill out that form to give your skill sets, because we are trying to start a. I'm trying to start a foundation, and with this foundation would come a lot of ways to help other families, and also help me go farther in searching for my son if need be. So. You guys can help in that area. Excuse me. Also, there's 110,994 signatures so far. It could be moving now on the petition. You can sign that petition by going to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and hit the petition, sign the petition button, and it'll take you to the petition page. You can sign the petition multiple times. Make your voices louder by if you have multiple. When I say you can do it multiple times, you have to do it by your email address. If you have multiple email address, you can do it under each email address. But you only can do it one time if you only have one email address. But each of those signatures represent a person. So I really appreciate it, guys, if you go out and do that. If you want to go straight to the Buckeye Police Department with some demands or things, what I'm asking for, you have your demand, you could call them and say what you like. But you know what? I would ask you to ask them to bring the FBI into my son's case. It's been 9 months now since my son been missing. You see no forensics done on this vehicle or the scene at all. No kind of, only thing they did is take pictures and drag the vehicle out. They dragged the vehicle out. They're so rough, they busted the tires. The tires had air in it. On the pictures, none of those tires was flat. But when they pull it out of there, they flatten the tires. Pulling out there really rough. So that department, they had a carefree attitude when it comes to they quote didn't investigate first of all, but now they claim an investigation without any of the stuff. But they out there right now, have a carefree attitude about the way they handled my son's case from the beginning. So they don't need to be part of doing anything. So thank you all for coming out and your support. And again, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I really appreciate you all being out here. Again, my name is David Robinson. I'm the father of Geologist Daniel Robinson. I really, truly appreciate you all being out here. I really love you for your time, and also sharing my son's story, doing everything you can to help. I'll never forget your labor of love. I'll never forget you all. You all are the ones that keep me going. So I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. God bless you. I love you. And I'll see you next time on the next Q&A. God.